Hey guys, welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. Welcome into my personal bass dojo where we do all the prep work that goes into making the videos and running the guide trips and pretty much everything. It's winter time and I'm kind of going through my tackle, reorganizing, disorganizing, whatever you want to call it. It's a mess right now, I know. But as I'm starting to make some of these, I make these little adjustments on some of my baits for the wintertime fishing. And as I'm going through that, I thought, hey, you know, that's a good idea. We're always trying to help people catch more fish. These are things that I do to try and get more bites at a tough time of year in the winter. So why not make a video where we go over my favorite winter fishing hacks? So that's exactly what we're going to do today on the Guides Network. Let's get to some winter bass fishing hacks. There's a lot of things you can do to tweak baits in the winter, and fish can be hard to catch. You know, they get real sluggish in the winter sometimes. The cold weather slows their metabolism down. But the beauty of the winter is, them females, they're pregnant, boys. Pregnant women like to eat, you know what I'm saying? Like, we catch a higher percentage of big female bass in the wintertime than we do any other time of year. So even though we get less total bites, our average size goes through the roof, and sometimes you can catch a trophy. Now, good news is, the weather's kind of stabilizing, the lake level's kind of stabilizing, and the bite's starting to get a little better. So the fish are starting to bite a little bit. It won't be long before we will really be catching them consistently every single day in pre-spawn patterns on Lake Fork. So if you're thinking about doing a guide trip, if you're on the fence, call right now. Like, stop the video, call right now and get your trip lined up because it's about to be go time. Okay, first hack I'm going to go over. You know, one of the old time tested, traditional, caught tons of fish over the years baits is a spinnerbait. And this is just kind of your normal standard 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. It's got a small willow blade, a little Colorado blade. Great bait. Caught a lot of fish. Well, in the wintertime, like we said, everything kind of slows down. So one thing I like to do is I upsize my blades on all my spinnerbaits whenever I'm fishing them in the winter. And what I found out going through my tackle today is that I need to go buy some more blades because I'm out of some of the blades that I like to use. I'll actually take a bait like this right here that has a normal kind of a, oh, that's like a number 3 maybe willow blade on there. I'll upsize it to like a number 6. Now here's the fine line you have to walk. Depending on the size of your head, okay, if you get the blade too big where it has too much drag, the bait will not run true. It'll want to roll on you. Okay, so there's a fine line you got to walk before you go too big. Now for me, on a 3/8 ounce head, I can go up to a number 6 willow blade, and that's the one that I fish the most often throughout the winter. The reason that I do this, folks, is it allows me to slow that bait down while keeping it up in the water column. I like to fish the shallow grass as the fish start to move in the winter because pre-spawn happens early in Texas. So as these very first fish start to move into a pre-spawn type pattern, and you got some dirty water, I want a blade that has a lot of thump. Well, the bigger blade helps me with that. And I want the blade that has a lot of drag because it allows me to go real slow with that spinnerbait and just keep that blade, whoom, whoom, whoom. But that bigger blade with that lighter head keeps that bait from sinking too much down into that grass and down into the bottom. So it keeps it moving natural like a spinnerbait should, just at a much slower speed. And it really gets me a lot of big bites every single year using a spinnerbait like this. Check out, if you're a spinnerbait fisherman, if you like to fish a spinnerbait, you can usually start fishing a lot earlier than what you think and get bit on it. Like right now, you can get bit on a spinnerbait. You just got to change that blade out. Put your bigger blade on there, slow it down. That's hack number 1. All right, hack number 2. This is my Wacky Worm Box. It's just full of trick worms. That's all that's in here is just trick worms. All right. This is kind of a trick that's a little bit of a pain to kind of implement throughout the day, but what you do is you leave your baits out when it's sunny. Now, if it's cloudy, you can't do this hack. But when it's not cloudy, when it's got a bright sunshine out, you take this box right here, you set it right there, and you open it up. And you just let it sit there in the sunshine. What happens, guys, is when the water's real cold, when you put that plastic in that cold water, it tightens that plastic up and reduces the action. You know, if you're going to fish plastics in the winter, a lot of stuff you're going to have to do is going to have to be pretty finesse, lightweight stuff. We're talking about a wacky worm with just a little tiny nail weight, half a nail weight in the head. It's going to fall very slow and be very subtle. So it's not going to have much action when that bait starts to tighten up in that cold water. But what you can do is you can leave your baits out in the sunshine and change them out about every 20-30 minutes, and when you leave it out in the sun, it'll heat that bait up, loosen that plastic up, and then for the first 15 minutes or whatever you're fishing it, that bait will have a lot more action. About 20 minutes goes by, it starts to get tight, change it out, lay that used one on the deck, pick you up a new one, and then when you get ready to change back 20 minutes later, switch back to the one you used before so you're not burning through all your plastics. But leave whatever baits you're using, whatever plastics you're using, leave those out on the deck in the sunshine. It'll loosen that plastic up and give it a lot more action when that water's real cold. All right, so hack number 3. Now we're going to get into a couple crankbait hacks. Now, I fish a lot of crankbaits in the wintertime. You know, the wintertime, you can kind of, when conditions get extreme, you have to be extreme. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can go extremely finesse, and you can go extremely reactive. The Wacky Worm would be extremely finesse out on Lake Fork. The crankbait, especially crankbait like the Movement 80X, which is my favorite wintertime crankbait, believe it or not. I know it's real shallow, but we catch a lot of fish on this in the winter. This crankbait right here has a super wide wavel. It deflects off wood really hard. Like when it hits wood, it bounces way out to the side. That's super reactive. And so that's what you have to do with cold fish. You either got to tease them into biting and go extremely finesse, or you got to make them react to something by going extremely reactive with wild, erratic action. I tend to be more of a power fisherman, so this is kind of my preferred method. Now, when I'm trying to hit stumps with this bait right here, you know, a lot of times we'll see the stump tops. You know, sometimes you'll be reeling and you'll hit one without seeing it, and that's great. We got a lot of wood in Lake Fork. You can get that deflection by accident even when you don't see the stump. But if I see a stump, I want to hit it with this crankbait. Well, one thing that you can do to hit more stumps and get a better deflection off that crankbait, you know, if you just let this thing and it's running straight and true, all you can do when you see a stump is just kind of glaze the side of it, hope you bounce and hit it right. A lot of times it'll just kind of wander on the side. It won't really get that bouncing deflection. What you can do is actually take this line tie and bend it, right? So if you bend it this way, right, that's going to cause that bait to run that way. Well, what you can do now is throw to the right side of that stump, okay, and that bait's moving back to your left as you reel it back into you. And that bait will start swimming that way, and it'll hit that stump and have a better deflection as it bounces off it. So all you do is just take pliers, like these right here, and you just take the nose, the split, the line tie of the bait, and you just bend it just a little bit. And it'll make it run just a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, depending on which way you bend it. And it'll bounce off the stumps a lot better, getting you a lot more reactions, getting you a lot more bigger fish in the boat. All right, the next... And you can do this on any hard bait. You know, I use the jerk baits from 6 Sense Fishing a lot. When I'm using a jerk bait, that's the jerk bait I use, and they're great. And Movement 80X is a 6 Sense bait as well. And by the way, if you want anything from 6 Sense Fishing, their website's linked below. When you go there, be sure that you punch in the code, your Lake Fork Guide, on the checkout screen down there in a promo box. It'll get you a 10% discount on all orders from 6 Sense. But one thing I like to do with my hard baits, especially my crankbaits, because these crankbaits, okay, when they bounce off something, a lot of times I like to pause them. Or even when I'm just reeling them, sometimes I'll pause them. You know, in the wintertime, things are more sluggish. So boom, 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 it hits, pow, bounces out, and I like to pause it. Well, this bait, as it comes out of the package, is made to rise. Now, that's made to help you get unhung when it hangs up on wood. But if it bounces off that wood and sits out here, when you stop it, it rises. Well, sometimes I want that bait to suspend. When I'm reeling it through there and it bounces, I want it to suspend. Or maybe I want to get this bait a little bit deeper. Well, here's a little trick. These are Storm suspend strips. They also have suspend dots that are just dots with a sticky back that you can place along the belly of the bait, on the bill, however you want to place them. I don't like to do that. I like to keep my bait looking clean and normal. So what I actually do is take these suspend strips, okay, and I wrap them right around the hook shank. So as you see, they come in a little sleeve like this right here, and it unfolds, and there's a bunch of them in here, right? So take and peel you one off. Just looks like that right there. And then I'll actually take the hook shank, okay, and wrap this suspend strip right around the shank of the hook. Now, this doesn't affect your hookup ratio in any way. It doesn't affect anything. All it does is make the bait a little bit heavier, makes it get down a little deeper, and it makes it suspend when you stop it. Now, if I put one here, I want to put one here. I always want to keep my hooks even. That way the bait stays in balance the same way it was before I put the strips on. So I'm evening out the amount of lead strip that I put on each hook at all times. But that's a cool little trick that can help you a lot. It can get you a lot more bites. It can get the bait down deeper. It can make that bait pause and suspend, which can sometimes get you a bite. It's a different way to give them that suspended look. When that water's a little too shallow or too grassy for that jerk bait, you can throw that Movement 80X in there, bounce it off a piece of wood and let it suspend, and you get that kind of suspended jerk bait look, and it can get you some couple key bites that you wouldn't get otherwise. All right, so that's hack number 4. Now, hack number 5. Let's talk about this. Everybody likes to fish a jig in the wintertime. Flipping jigs may be the best big fish bait of all time, especially on Lake Fork in the wintertime. Black and blue is the traditional color that everybody likes to throw. Old black and blue. Man, you can't go wrong with black and blue. It's tried and true, as they say. Now, one little tweak, and I was told this by Andrew Grills a long time ago. He's one of the best jig fishermen there is, and he's probably going to be really mad at me for telling you guys this. But I love y'all, so I'm going to tell you anyway. Put you a little bit of orange. I mean, just a little bit. Not a lot, but put you a little bit of orange right there on the backside of that jig. I'm not real sure what the key to that deal is, but it works. It gets more bites. So it's something that I've done ever since Andrew kind of showed that to me probably 5 years ago. It works. Might try a little bit of orange on the back of your black and blue jigs. That's a real simple, easy hack. Buy you some orange skirt material and just kind of lay your skirt out flat, like lay your jig out where your skirt stretches out flat long ways. Show you guys what I'm talking about. Kind of separate the strands in your skirt like this here. Okay, lay it down and then lay you some orange skirt material right here beside it, and then just tie braid around it, and the braid will hold it in place. All you do is wrap braid about 7-8 times and then tie it off, and that braid will hold that orange right there in your skirt, and then just trim it accordingly to the length of your skirt, so you'll be ready to go. Well, there's some hacks, some good winter fishing hacks. I hope those help you. I've got a giant mess to clean up now because I got a trip tomorrow morning, so hope you enjoyed those, man. I hope some of these hips help y'all. That's right, hips help y'all. I hope some of these tips help you guys catch a few more big bass this winter. Get out there earlier than you usually do. If you normally wait till March, get out there in February. Boys, it's a good time to catch some big fish in the wintertime, so go do that. Hey, if we can help you in any way, like I said, you need a guide trip, you need an app download, you need some merchandise, you need whatever you need, we got you. Just reach out to us, yourlakeforkguide.com, 903-519-1542, or go download the new Fish Life app for the best fishing advice, fishing information that money can possibly buy. Really appreciate you guys watching today. Appreciate everything y'all do for us. You know, we don't have the biggest audience, but I firmly feel like we do have the best. I'm super proud of what we've built over the last couple of years here, from the guide business to the app to the YouTube following that we have, the social media following. You guys are what makes this thing go. Y'all are what makes it tick. Y'all are what inspires us, motivates us. It's all about you guys, man. Y'all are unbelievable, and we just can't say thank you enough. And the way that we're going to say thank you, the best way we know how to say thank you, is that we're going to keep working as hard as we can to bring you guys as much help, as much advice, as much top-end equipment and gear at affordable prices that we possibly can. So thank you guys very much from the bottom of all of our hearts. Go ahead and give us a like. Give us a comment down below. Let us know what your favorite hack is, and we'll see you guys next time right here on Your Lake Fork Guide.